Seattle's got this way of sneaking up on you. One minute, you're jogging along Lake Union, drizzle kissing your face. The next, you're staring down a view of the Puget Sound that makes you feel like you're on top of the world, or at least on top of a pretty decent hill. That's where I was 3 years ago, just another 30-something hustling through life. Name's Maya Jackson, marketing director by day, dreamer by night, living in a shoebox apartment in Capitol Hill that cost half my paycheck. I wasn't rich, but I was scrappy. I had my routine. Coffee from that hole-in-the-wall spot on Pine Street, spreadsheets that ate my soul, and a vision board pinned above my desk with "Start My Own Agency" scribbled in Sharpie. That was the plan, slow and steady, one rung at a time up that corporate ladder. Then came the email that flipped my world upside down. It was a Tuesday night, late, way past when sensible people clock out. I was hunched over my laptop, rain tapping the window like it was trying to Morse code me a warning. The notification pinged, and there it was. Ethan Caldwell. Yeah, that Ethan Caldwell. Tech billionaire, venture capital king, the guy whose name's plastered on half the startups in this city, and whose face graces Forbes like it's his personal scrapbook. Subject line, an opportunity you can't refuse. I laughed out loud. Thought it was spam. Why the hell would a guy like that email me? But I clicked anyway because curiosity's a beast. It wasn't spam. It was real. Too real. He wanted to meet. Said he'd been impressed by my work on a campaign for a little tech outfit called Nexus Point, some guerrilla marketing thing I'd pulled off on a shoestring budget that went viral. He had a proposition. Next thing I know, I'm RSVPing to a meeting at his penthouse office downtown, scheduled for Friday at 3 p.m. sharp. My stomach did a flip. Half excitement, half dread. 10 million bucks, he'd written. 10 million reasons to hear him out. Friday rolled around, gray and soggy like every other Seattle day that month. I put on my best blazer, the one I'd snagged at Nordstrom Rack for half price, paired it with jeans because this is the West Coast, and headed out. The building was one of those sleek glass towers that scream money, right in the heart of downtown where the ferries chug across the Sound and the Space Needle peeks through the mist. The elevator ride up was silent, just me and the hum of machinery, watching the numbers climb, 40, 50, 60. My palms were sweaty by the time it dinged at 72. The doors slid open, and I stepped straight into his world. Floor-to-ceiling windows stretched across the room, framing the water and the Olympic mountains like a damn postcard. The place was minimalist, white leather chairs, a glass desk that probably cost more than my rent for a year, a single orchid in a vase that looked too perfect to be real. Ethan Caldwell didn't stand up when I walked in. He was on a call, barking something about quarterly projections. His voice clipped and sharp. He waved me to a chair without looking up. I sat there, counting the seconds, 420 of them, 7 minutes, while he finished. Rude? Sure. But billionaires don't play by regular rules. Finally, he hung up, swiveled his chair, and fixed me with those steel-gray eyes I'd seen in every tech magazine. He was mid-50s, maybe, with a jawline that could cut glass and a suit that screamed custom. "Maya," he said, like he was tasting my name. "Your Nexus Point campaign was a stroke of genius, unconventional, bold. That's why you're here." I shifted in my seat, trying to play it cool. "Thanks. It was a team effort." He smirked, a little twitch at the corner of his mouth that didn't reach his eyes. "Don't be modest. I don't waste time on teams. I want you." He slid a folder across the desk, black, glossy, with an NDA clipped to the front. $10 million, 5-year contract. You work for me exclusively. Special projects, confidentialities, non-negotiable. My brain short-circuited. $10 million. I could see it. Student loans gone. My brother Jamal's dialysis bills paid. My parents' house in Renton free and clear. I could buy a condo overlooking the Sound, start that agency without scraping by for clients. Freedom, right there in a stack of paper. But something in his tone, too smooth, too rehearsed, set my gut on edge. "What kind of projects?" I asked, leaning forward. He waved a hand, vague as hell. "Rebranding, sensitive acquisitions, crisis management, high-stakes stuff. Details come after you sign." "After?" I raised an eyebrow. "That's a big leap on faith." His smile tightened, just a hair. "My world runs on trust, Maya. And results. You've got potential. I've been watching your career for a while. I know what you're capable of." Watching my career? That hit me sideways. How long? How close? I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. "I need specifics. What am I walking into?" He leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Think of it as an all-access pass. Financial freedom, influence, a seat at the table most people only dream of. But I need commitment first." Then he dropped the bomb, casual as if he were ordering coffee. "Your brother's medical debt. $87,430, right? Your folks remortgaged their place to cover it. I can make that disappear. One signature." My heart stopped. How did he know that? That wasn't LinkedIn profile stuff. That was deep, personal, private. My mom's voice echoed in my head. "If it's too good to be true, baby, it's got claws." I stared at the NDA, the pen he'd nudged toward me gleaming under the recessed lights. The room felt smaller, the rain outside louder. I could feel the weight of that money, the life it promised, pressing down. But those eyes of his, cold, calculating, like he was sizing me up for something I couldn't see, screamed run. "I need 48 hours, I said, voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. His jaw ticked, a flicker of annoyance. "Opportunities like this don't wait, Maya. But sure, 48 hours. He stood, signaling the meeting was over. I grabbed my bag and headed for the elevator, his parting shot chasing me. "You won't find a better deal." The doors closed, and I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The ride down was a blur. 60 floors of my brain yelling, "What the hell just happened?" By the time I hit the street, the drizzle had turned to a steady pour, soaking through my blazer. I stood there, watching cars splash by on First Avenue, my mind racing. $10 million. A billionaire who knew too much. A gut feeling I couldn't shake. Back home, I called Sasha, my ride or die since college, the one person I trusted to talk me off a ledge. She picked up on the second ring, her voice crackling through my ancient Bluetooth speaker. "Maya, tell me you said yes. Tell me you're not this dumb." "Nope," I said, pacing my tiny living room, the hardwood creaking under my sneakers. "I told him I'd think about it." She groaned, loud and dramatic. "Are you kidding me? Ethan freaking Caldwell offers you a golden ticket and you're thinking about it? This is your shot, girl. Pay off Jamal's bills, get out of that rat trap apartment. Hell, buy me a yacht while you're at it." I laughed, but it was hollow. Sash, he knew stuff he shouldn't. My family's debt down to the penny. That's not normal. She went quiet for a second, then brushed it off. "He's a billionaire. They've got people for that. Research, whatever. Don't overthink it. Take the money." Maybe she was right. Maybe I was paranoid. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my lumpy couch, the contract spread out on the coffee table, glowing under the lamp. I was this close to signing, pen in hand, imagining Jamal smiling again, my dad not stressing over bills, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One text. "Don't sign. You're not the first." I froze. Tried calling back. Disconnected. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. Who sent it? What did they mean? The rain pounded harder outside, and for the first time, I wondered if I'd just dodged a bullet or stepped into the crosshairs. Hey, I'm Maya, and that no changed my life in ways I never saw coming. Stick around. This story's just getting started. Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. What would you do with an offer like that? The next morning hit me like a truck. I woke up to the usual Seattle symphony, rain smacking my window, the hiss of tires on wet pavement outside my Capitol Hill apartment. My phone was still clutched in my hand from the night before. That creepy text, "Don't sign. You're not the first," staring back at me. I'd barely slept, my brain ping-ponging between Ethan Caldwell's $10 million lifeline and the warning that felt like a ghost whispering in my ear. Coffee was priority one. I dragged myself to the kitchen, brewed a pot of that cheap Trader Joe's stuff I pretended to like, and tried to shake the fog. Routine usually grounded me. Every day I'd lace up my Nikes, jog the loop around Lake Union, and let the misty air clear my head. That morning, though, my legs felt like lead. I made it halfway, stopped at a bench near Gasworks Park, and just sat there, watching the water ripple under the gray sky. $10 million. Jamal's dialysis. My parents' mortgage. A real shot at my agency. It was all right there, dangling like a carrot. But that text, it was a splinter I couldn't pull out. Who sent it? Why me? Back home, I showered off the damp and called my brother, Jamal. He's 3 years older, a tech whiz who used to code circles around everyone at his old gig until kidney disease knocked him flat. He picked up, voice raspy but warm. "Yo, Maya, you good? You sound like you saw a ghost." "Close enough," I said, pacing again. My apartment's basically a 500-square-foot treadmill. "You ever hear of Ethan Caldwell sniffing around people like us?" "Caldwell? The software dude?" "Nah, why?" He coughed, and I winced, picturing him hooked up to that damn machine. I spilled it, the email, the meeting, the 10 million, Ethan knowing way too much. Jamal whistled low. "Maya, that's a Powerball ticket. You telling me you're thinking about saying no?" "Something's off, Jay. He's got details. Your bills, Mom and Dad's house. That's not normal headhunter stuff." He paused, and I could hear the gears turning. Maybe he's just thorough. Rich folks got resources. Look, sis, this could fix everything. I'm tired of being the family leech. "You're not," I started, but he cut me off. "Take it. Please. For me." His voice cracked and my chest tightened. I mumbled something about thinking it over and hung up, guilt gnawing at me. Next up, my parents. I drove out to Renton that afternoon, a 20-minute haul south of the city. Their split-level house smelled like Grace's famous cornbread, my mom's comfort food weapon. She was in the kitchen, apron on, while Harold, my dad, fiddled with the TV in the living room, muttering about the Seahawks' defense. I dropped the bomb over dinner. 10 million? Harold's fork froze halfway to his mouth. "And you didn't sign on the spot?" Grace shot him a look. "Let her talk, Harold." I laid it out. Ethan's vagueness, the NDA, the creepy vibe. "He knew your mortgage details. Jamal's debt. That's not public, Dad." Harold leaned back, arms crossed. He'd spent 25 years at Microsoft, climbing from mailroom to middle management, Mr. Practical. Big shots like Caldwell got teams for that. Due diligence. You're overthinking, Maya. This is your break. Grace, though, tilted her head, her teacher's intuition kicking in. Sounds too slick. What's he want you to do for that money? That's the thing. No straight answer, I said, poking at my cornbread. Just special projects. She frowned. You listen to your gut, baby. Money's nice, but peace is better. Harold snorted. Peace don't pay the bills, or get Jamal off that machine. We went back and forth, their voices blending into the rain outside. By the time I hugged them goodbye, I was more torn than ever. Harold's logic made sense. Security, stability, but Grace's caution echoed that text I couldn't unsee. Sunday night, I met Sasha at our spot, Bean and Brew, a cozy little joint on Pike Street with mismatched chairs and the best espresso in town. She slid into the booth across from me, her braids swinging, eyes wide. "Spill it, Jackson. What's the holdup with Caldwell?" I recapped the penthouse scene, the offer, the weirdness. She leaned in, practically vibrating. "Maya, this is it. You could ditch this grind, buy a house, hell, take me to Hawaii. Why are you stalling?" He knew stuff, Sash. Private stuff. And that contract, it's a black box. She waved a hand, sipping her latte. "He's a billionaire. They've got PIs, databases, whatever. You're paranoid. Sign it, cash out, live a little." I opened my mouth to argue, but my phone buzzed. Ethan Caldwell. My pulse spiked as I answered, Sasha grinning like she'd won the lottery. "Maya." His voice was silk over steel. "I've been thinking about our chat. Let's sweeten the pot. 15 million. Same terms. I'll need an answer by noon tomorrow." 15. I choked out. Sasha's jaw dropped. "Think it over," he said, then added, casual as hell. "Jamal's next appointment's Wednesday, right? Swedish medical, $2,300 a pop. Shame to keep your folks footing that." Click. He was gone. I stared at the phone, my hands shaking. Sasha whooped, oblivious. 15 mil. Maya, you're set." "He knows Jamal's schedule," I whispered. "That's not normal." She shrugged. "So he's thorough. Take the damn money." I drove home in a daze, the wipers slapping rain off my windshield. 15 million. It was a fortune, enough to rewrite my life, my family's life. I sat on my couch, the contract glowing under the lamp again, pen in hand. I was this close, name half scribbled, when my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Same message as before, but longer. "Don't sign. You're not the first. Check your old Nexus Point files." My heart slammed against my ribs. Nexus Point, the campaign that got Ethan's attention. I hadn't thought about it in months. I yanked my laptop open, logged into my old work email, thank God I'd never cleared the archives, and started digging. Most of it was standard. Budgets, mock-ups, client notes, but then, buried in a thread with a junior designer, I found it. An email mentioning Caldwell Ventures as a silent partner on the project. No one had told me. I'd been working for him without knowing it. The room spun. He'd been watching me way longer than I'd thought. Maybe years. That campaign wasn't random. It was a test. And now he wanted me locked in, no questions asked. I grabbed my phone, hands trembling, and texted Sasha. "He's been playing me from the start." She replied instantly, "You're nuts. Sleep on it." But sleep wasn't happening. I paced until dawn, the rain a steady drumbeat outside. That text, those files, they were a crack in Ethan's perfect facade. I didn't have proof, not yet, but I had a thread, and I was damn sure gonna pull it. By Monday morning, I'd made up my mind. I called Ethan at 11:58 a.m., 2 minutes before his deadline. "It's a no," I said, voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Thanks for the offer." His laugh was cold, sharp. "You're making a mistake, Maya. People don't walk away from me." "I just did," I shot back, and hung up. The second the call ended, my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "Good choice. Meet me, Tacoma, tomorrow, noon." An address followed. A diner off I-5. My stomach flipped. Whoever this was, they knew I'd said no. They were watching. But so was I now. Game on. Saying no to Ethan Caldwell felt like jumping off a cliff, thrilling for about 5 seconds until you realize there's no parachute. Monday afternoon, after I hung up on him, the high wore off fast. I stood in my Capitol Hill apartment, staring out at the rain-slicked street, the buzz of that mystery text still humming in my veins. Tacoma. Tomorrow. Noon. Whoever was on the other end knew I'd turned Ethan down, and they'd pointed me towards something big. But big could mean dangerous, and my gut was screaming both go and run at the same time. Work was my first reality check. I rolled into the office, a funky little loft space near Pioneer Square, expecting the usual grind. Coffee runs, client calls, brainstorming sessions. Instead, I got whispers. My team, normally a chatty bunch, clammed up when I walked by. My desk neighbor, Derek, a slick-haired guy who'd been gunning for my job since day one, gave me a smirk over his monitor. "Heard you're too good for big offers now, huh, Maya?" I froze, coffee cup halfway to my mouth. "What are you talking about?" "Caldwell," he said, leaning back like he owned the place. "Word's out you shot him down. Bold move, dumb, but bold." My stomach dropped. How'd he know already? It'd been what, 4 hours? "Where'd you hear that?" He shrugged, all smug. "Industry's small, Jackson. People talk. Guess you're too pure for the big leagues." I forced a laugh, brushing it off, but the hairs on my neck stood up. Derek wasn't wrong. The marketing world in Seattle's tight-knit, a fishbowl where gossip swims fast. But this felt too quick, too pointed. By lunch, I caught our boss, Lisa, giving me side-eye in a meeting. By 3 p.m., a client emailed asking if I was still committed to their campaign. Something was off, way off. That night, I called Sasha, needing her to talk me down. We met at the Hideout, a dive bar on First Avenue with dim lights and sticky tables. She slid into the booth, her latte swapped for a IPA, and launched in before I could sip my gin and tonic. "Maya, what the hell? You said no to 15 million? "Yeah," I said, swirling the ice in my glass. "And now work's weird. People know." She groaned, loud enough to turn heads. "Of course they know. You think Caldwell's gonna let that slide quietly? He's got clout, girl. You're poking a bear." "I didn't poke anything," I shot back. "I just said no." "Same diff," she said, leaning in. "Look, I get it. You're spooked, but you're tanking your career over a hunch. What's the plan now, huh? Keep scraping by while Derek laps you?" Her words stung because they weren't wrong. I'd been climbing slow and steady, but this could shove me back to square one. Sash, he knew Jamal's schedule. That's not a hunch. That's creepy. She waved it off. "Rich guy flex. You're overreacting. Sleep on it, call him back, say you reconsidered." I didn't argue. Too tired. But as I walked home through the drizzle, her voice clashed with that text in my head. "You're not the first. Someone out there knew more, and I wasn't sleeping until I found out what." Tuesday morning, I woke to a gray Seattle sky that matched my mood. I called in sick, first time in years, and grabbed my beat-up Honda for the hour-long drive to Tacoma. The diner was a relic off I-5, all chipped formica tables and neon signs buzzing, "Open." Why? I slid into a booth by the window, ordered a black coffee, and waited, nerves jangling. At 12:03, she walked in. Chloe Nguyen, my college roommate from UW, marketing major like me, all sharp cheekbones and sharper wit. Last I'd heard, she'd been freelancing in Portland. Now, she looked like a ghost of herself, thinner, eyes darting, hair pulled back tight. She spotted me, hesitated, then sat down, powering off her phone and popping the battery out before I could say hi. "Chloe?" I blinked, stunned. You sent the texts?
Yeah,
She said, voice low, scanning the room. Had to be sure you'd say no first. What's going on? Why are you... I stopped as she slid a newspaper clipping across the table. It was her, smiling stiffly next to Ethan Caldwell, captioned, Tech mogul welcomes new protege. Dated 3 weeks ago. I'm his latest, she said, bitter. Or was, until I figured out what he's really after. My coffee went cold in my hands. What do you mean? She leaned in, barely a whisper. It's not a job, Maya. It's a leash. Sign that contract, and he owns you, your work, your life, everything. I can't leave. He's got stuff on me, my family, my past. Don't dig, okay? It's too late for me. Too late? I grabbed her wrist as she started to stand. Chloe, talk to me. What's he doing? Her eyes flicked to the door, then back. Just trust me. Stay out of it. She yanked free, dropped a USB drive on the table, and bolted before I could stop her. I sat there, heart pounding, the USB burning a hole in my palm. Back in my car, I plugged it into my laptop. Encrypted files, audio snippets, emails. I couldn't crack it yet, but the file names alone. Crisis Protocol 23, Acquisition X, screamed trouble. Chloe was in deep, and now I was holding dynamite. Things got worse fast. Wednesday, I went back to work, hoping to lie low. No dice. Derek cornered me in the break room, grinning like a shark. Guess who's got a new gig? Caldwell reached out, offered me what you tossed. Signed this morning. I'm set for life, Maya. Sucks to be you. I stared, coffee sloshing in my cup. You took it? Hell yeah, he said, smug as ever. Not everyone's too proud to cash in. He walked off, and I felt the floor tilt. Derek, my rival, my shadow, had jumped at Ethan's bait. If Chloe was right, he'd just sold his soul. That night, my phone lit up with a text from Lisa. Need to talk tomorrow. Rumors are hurting us. Ethan wasn't just watching. He was swinging. Home hit harder. I called Jamal, needing an anchor. He picked up, groggy from dialysis. Maya, Dad's pissed. Says you're throwing away our future. What's going on? Jay, it's not that simple, I said, throat tight. Caldwell's shady. I can't explain yet, but... Shady how? He snapped. You got proof or you just guessing? 'Cause I'm the one stuck here and you're playing detective. He hung up, and I sank onto the couch, the USB in my fist. Harold called next, voice like gravel. Maya, you're killing us. That money could have fixed everything. What's wrong with you? Dad, he's not what he seems, I pleaded. I'm figuring it out. Figure faster, he said, and the line went dead. Sleep didn't come. I sat up, rain hammering the roof, digging online. Ethan's protégés. Always women, always talented, always fading out after the headlines. A pattern, every 18 months. Chloe was the latest. Derek might be next. Then me. I Googled the Nexus Point link again, cross-referencing dates. It clicked. Caldwell Ventures funded it through a shell company. He'd been tracking me since 2019. Thursday morning, I found a note slipped under my door. Stop digging or you'll regret it. No signature, but I knew that handwriting vibe. Ethan's people. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're in over your head. I stood there, rain streaking the windows, my tiny apartment feeling like a cage. Work was turning on me. My family was fracturing. Chloe was trapped. Derek was blind. And Ethan was closing in. I'd said no, but the fight was just starting. And it was bigger than I'd ever imagined. Seattle's rain doesn't mess around in November. It's a full-on assault, turning streets into rivers and skies into a permanent bruise. That Thursday morning, after finding that note under my door, "Stop digging or you'll regret it," I stood frozen in my Capitol Hill apartment, the paper trembling in my hand. The text that followed, "You're in over your head," wasn't a warning anymore. It was a promise. Ethan Caldwell wasn't playing subtle. He was coming for me, and I'd barely scratched the surface of whatever he was hiding. Work was a no-go. I called Lisa, faked a stomach bug, and spent the morning pacing my 500-square-foot cage, the USB from Chloe burning a hole in my pocket. I couldn't crack the files, too encrypted for my basic tech skills, but those names, Crisis Protocol 23 Acquisition X, kept looping in my head. Chloe's voice, tight with fear at that Tacoma diner, echoed louder. "He owns you, your work, your life, everything." I had to know more. I had to do something. By noon, I was back in my Honda, windshield wipers slapping, headed south to Tacoma again. Chloe hadn't answered my calls since she bolted from the diner, but I wasn't waiting. I needed answers. Hers, or whoever else was out there. The diner was quieter this time, just a couple truckers nursing coffee and a waitress who looked like she'd seen it all. I grabbed the same booth, ordered a Coke, caffeine was my lifeline now, and waited, eyes on the door. She showed up at 12:15, but it wasn't Chloe. A woman in her late 40s, wiry and worn, slid into the seat across from me. Her coat was damp, her dark hair streaked with gray, and her eyes, sharp, haunted, locked onto mine. "You're Maya," she said, not a question. She pulled her phone, popped the battery like Chloe had, and leaned in. "I'm Rita. I sent the first text." I blinked, caught off guard. "The don't sign one, how'd you—" "No," she smirked, bitter. "I've been watching Caldwell's moves for years. Worked for him. Exec assistant, 09 to 14. Saw too much. Tried to leave. Got burned. You're his type. Smart, scrappy, someone he can mold." My Coke sat untouched, fizzing flat. "Burned how?" "NDA," she said, voice low. Signed it, thought it was standard. Then I caught him rigging a deal. Shady stock stuff. Quit. Sued to get free. He countersued, drained my savings, trashed my rep. Been freelancing under the table since. When I heard he was circling you, I had to warn you. I leaned back, processing. "Chloe said I'm not the first. You're saying there's a pattern?" "Damn right," Rita said, pulling a crumpled notebook from her bag. She flipped it open. Dates, names, scribbled notes. Every 18 months or so, he picks a new protege. Women, usually, talented, hungry, off the radar. They sign, shine for a bit, then vanish. Socials go quiet, careers stall. Chloe's the latest. You were next. My stomach twisted. "What's he doing with them?" "Control," she said, tapping the table. "Uses their skills, marketing, tech, whatever, for dirty work. Cover-ups, espionage, you name it. The contract's a trap, locks you in, legally and personally. Step out of line, he's got leverage to bury you." Before I could respond, the diner door swung open. Chloe stumbled in, soaked, eyes wild. She spotted us, hesitated, then hurried over, sliding in next to Rita. "Maya, I told you not to dig," she hissed, but her hands were shaking. "And you gave me this," I said, holding up the USB. "What's on it?" She glanced around, voice dropping. "Proof. Emails, recordings, stuff I grabbed before I realized how deep I'm in. He's got my sister's arrest record. Petty theft years ago. Threatened to tank her parole if I don't play ball." Rita nodded, grim. "That's his MO. Digs up dirt, holds it over you. What's he got you doing?" Chloe swallowed hard. "Rebranding a merger, some biotech firm. But it's a front. They're burying a lawsuit, Faulty drugs. People died. I'm supposed to spin it clean. I stared, the pieces clicking. That's why he wanted me. Nexus Point. I made a nothing startup look like gold. He needs that skill. Exactly, Rita said. You're a fixer. But once you're in, there's no out. Chloe grabbed my arm, desperate. Maya, you can still walk away. Burn that drive, forget this. He doesn't know you've got it yet. Too late, I said, pulling free. He's already on me. Notes, texts, work's a mess. My family's pissed. I'm not running. Rita's eyes narrowed, appraising me. Then you're fighting. You got a plan? Not yet, I admitted. But I'm not doing it alone. Chloe, you're stuck. Rita, you're out but broke. We've got something he doesn't. Each other. Chloe laughed, hollow. What, a girl gang? He'll crush us. Not if we're smart, I said, leaning in. That USB's a start. We need more. Proof he can't spin. Chloe, you're inside. Grab what you can. Rita, you've got history. Dig up old contacts. I'll coordinate. Keep us off his radar. Rita smirked. Freedom Network, huh? I'm in. Been waiting to stick it to him. Chloe hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but we're ghosts. Burner phones, encrypted chats. He's got eyes everywhere. We swapped numbers, cheap track phones from a gas station down the road, and split. I drove back to Seattle, rain pounding, my mind racing. Freedom Network. It sounded crazy, but it felt right. 3 women, 3 angles, 1 shot to take Ethan down. Friday hit like a freight train. I got home late, still buzzing from Tacoma, when my buzzer screeched. I peeked out, 2 guys in dark jackets, hoods up, standing at my building's door. One held a note. My heart slammed as I watched them tape it to the glass and leave. I waited 10 minutes, then crept down, rain soaking my hoodie. The note was short. Last chance, Maya. Sign, or lose it all. I stuffed it in my pocket, hands shaking, and bolted back upstairs. Ethan wasn't bluffing. He was escalating. Saturday, I met Sasha at Bean and Brew, needing her take. She slid into the booth, frowning. You look like crap. What's up? I spilled it. The note, Chloe, Rita, the USB. Her eyes widened, then hardened. Maya, you're nuts. You think you can outplay Caldwell? He's got lawyers, money, power. And I've got proof, I cut in. He's dirty, Sash. I can't let this go. She grabbed my hand, voice low. I worked for him, okay? 2 years, low-level PR gig. Quit when it got weird. Too many NDAs, too many secrets. He doesn't lose, Maya. Walk away. I pulled back, stunned. You knew? And you pushed me to sign? I thought you'd be fine, she snapped. You're tougher than me, but this? You're in over your head. Maybe, I said, standing, but I'm not drowning alone. Sunday, I cracked the USB with Jamal's help. He'd cooled off after our fight, and when I showed him the note, he flipped. This dude's psycho, he said, hunched over my laptop in Renton. Let me see that drive. He broke the encryption in an hour. Audio of Ethan barking orders. Bury the biotech mess. Spin it or sink it. Emails detailing payoffs, threats. Jamal whistled. Sis, this is felony level. You're sure about this? Yeah, I said, adrenaline surging. We're building a case. Monday, I got a call from Chloe, whispered, frantic. He knows I'm off. Asked about you. I lied, but he's watching. Stay sharp, I told her. We've got this. That night, my buzzer went off again. I peeked out. Same guys, but this time they lingered, staring up. My phone buzzed. You're out of time. I locked the door, heart hammering, the USB clutched tight. Freedom Network was real now, and Ethan was closing in. No turning back. Seattle doesn't do half measures with weather, and that week it unleashed hell. A storm rolled in off the Pacific. Wind howling through the city. Rain slamming sideways against my Capitol Hill apartment. It was Tuesday night, 2 days after those goons taped Ethan Caldwell's latest threat to my door. "You're out of time." And I hadn't slept since. The USB from Chloe sat on my coffee table, a ticking bomb of proof. Audio of Ethan ordering cover-ups, emails about payoffs, all felony-grade dirt. Freedom Network, me, Chloe, Rita, was real now, but so was the target on our backs. Wednesday morning, I woke to a text from Chloe. "He's on to me. Meeting tomorrow. Emergency." My stomach nodded. She'd been shaky since Tacoma, stuck inside Ethan's machine, feeding us scraps while dodging his radar. I texted back, "Stay low, we've got enough to move." But enough felt like a lie. We had evidence, sure, but no plan to use it. Not yet. Work was a minefield. I dragged myself to the office, rain-soaked and wired on coffee, only to find Lisa waiting in the break room, arms crossed. "Maya, we need to talk," she said, voice clipped. "Clients are pulling back. Rumors say you're unreliable, burning bridges with big names." I gripped my mug, heat searing my palms. "That's bull. Who's saying it?" "Doesn't matter," she snapped. "It's out there. Fix it or we're done." She walked off, leaving me reeling. Ethan's reach. He wasn't just watching. He was torching my career. Derek sauntered in, smirking like he'd won the lottery. "Told you, Jackson. Caldwell's my ticket now. Signed, sealed, delivered. You're yesterday's news." "You have no idea what you've stepped into." I shot back, voice low. "He's using you." He laughed, loud and sharp. "Keep telling yourself that. I'm cashing checks while you're playing martyr." I stormed out, rain pelting my hoodie as I hit the street. Ethan was everywhere. Work, home, my head. I called Jamal, needing a lifeline. He picked up, groggy from dialysis. "Maya, what's up? You sound wrecked." "Jay, it's bad," I said, ducking under an awning on Pine Street. "Caldwell's screwing with my job, my life. That USB, it's real, but he's coming for me." He paused, then, "Sis, you sure this is worth it? Dad's losing it, says you're dragging us down." "Jamal, he's dirty," I pleaded. "I've got proof. I just need time." "Time's what I don't have," he snapped. "I'm sick, Maya. We're broke. You're chasing ghosts while I'm hooked to a machine." He hung up, and I stood there, rain dripping off my hood, guilt clawing my chest. Harold called an hour later, voice like thunder. "Maya, you're ruining us. Caldwell could have fixed everything, and you're out here playing hero. Stop this nonsense." "Dad, he's a monster," I said, throat tight. "I'm fighting for us." "You're fighting for you," he growled, "and we're paying for it." Click. I stumbled home, soaked and shattered. Freedom Network was my anchor, but it was fraying. Chloe was cracking, Rita was a wild card, and I was losing everyone else. That night, the storm peaked. Power flickered, wind rattling my windows. I sat in the dark, USB in hand, when my phone lit up. "Rita, Chloe's in trouble. News just dropped." I yanked my laptop open, heart pounding. Headline on the Seattle Times: Caldwell protege linked to corporate fraud probe. Chloe's face, pale and stiff, stared back from a stock photo. The article claimed she'd forged documents for Ethan's biotech merger, our proof, flipped against her. He'd set her up, fast and brutal. I called her. No answer. Texted, "Chloe, you okay? Call me." Nothing. Panic clawed up my spine. Ethan wasn't just defending. He was dismantling us, piece by piece. Thursday, I met Rita at a gas station lot in Renton, rain drumming the roof of my car. She climbed in, grim. Chloe's gone dark. Cops might have her. Or worse, him. How'd he pull this? I asked, voice shaking. That was our evidence. He's a step ahead, she said, lighting a cigarette despite the downpour. Planted fakes, pinned it on her. I got sued again this morning. Old NDA crap. He's hitting us all. I slammed the steering wheel. We're screwed. She's trapped, you're broke. I'm toast at work. What now? Rita exhaled smoke, eyes hard. We fight dirty. I've got a contact. Old co-worker. Hates Ethan. Might have more. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Ethan. I stared at it, then hit accept, speaker on. His voice cut through the storm. Maya, you're out of moves. Meet me. Pier 57, 9 p.m. One last chance. Rita shook her head, but I gritted my teeth. Fine. Smart girl, he said, and hung up. Pier 57's a tourist trap. Ferris wheel, seafood joints. But that night, it was a ghost town, rain driving everyone indoors. I parked near the water, wind rocking my car, and spotted him under a street lamp, black coat gleaming wet. I stepped out, recorder app running in my pocket, and faced him. Nice night, he said, smirking, rain streaking his face. You've been busy. You set up Chloe, I spat, fists clenched. Framed her with your own mess. She signed the contract, he said, cold. You didn't. Last offer, sign now, 15 mil, I clear her. Walk away and you all sink. I laughed, sharp and bitter. You think I'd trust you? I've got proof. Recordings, emails. You're done. His smirk faded, eyes narrowing. Bluffing's dangerous, Maya. That USB won't save you, or her. One call, and she's in cuffs. Your family's next. Jamal's bills, your dad's house. Gone. My blood ran cold, but I stepped closer, voice steady. One call from me, and it's on the news. Checkmate. He stared, rain dripping off his jaw, then chuckled. Low, chilling. You're tougher than I thought. Too bad it won't matter. He turned, vanishing into the storm, leaving me shaking but alive. I drove home, recorder still running. His threat burned into my brain. Friday hit worse. Chloe vanished. No calls, no texts. Her apartment empty when Rita checked. The news doubled down. Fugitive protege sought in fraud case. Ethan had her, or she'd run. Rita got a summons. Another lawsuit, bleeding her dry. My boss texted, You're on leave, sort this out. Saturday, I broke. Sat in my dark apartment, storm raging, power out, and cried ugly, messy sobs. Freedom Network was crumbling. Chloe was gone. Rita was cornered. My family hated me. My job was toast. Ethan was winning, and I was drowning. Then my phone buzzed. Sasha. I'd ghosted her since our fight, but she didn't care. Maya, pick up. Now. I did, voice raw. What? I've got something, she said, urgent. From my Caldwell days, a recording. Him ordering a smear job on a competitor. It's old, but it's gold. You still in this? I sat up, wiping my face. Yeah, send it. Done, she said. And Maya, don't quit. I was wrong. You're tougher than him. The file hit my inbox, grainy audio, Ethan's voice clear. Ruin them. Fake it if you have to. It wasn't everything, but it was a lifeline. Jamal called next, softer now. Sis, I dug into my old job, found a Caldwell link. Data trails. I'm with you. I stared out at the storm, rain easing, a sliver of hope cutting through. Ethan had pushed us to the edge, but we weren't dead yet. Freedom Network was battered, but breathing, and I wasn't done fighting. It felt like checkmate, but the game wasn't over. What's the next move? Subscribe, and let me know what you do. The storm broke Seattle wide open that weekend, but by Sunday, it was over. Clouds parting, sun slicing through like a promise. I stood in my Capitol Hill apartment, staring out at the wet streets, the city catching its breath. Freedom Network was on life support. Chloe missing, Rita drowning in lawsuits, my career in ashes. Ethan Caldwell had us pinned, his threats from Pier 57, "Your family's next," ringing in my ears. But Sasha's recording and Jamal's data trails were sparks in the dark. I wasn't done. Not yet. Monday morning, I got a text from Rita. "Chloe's alive. Hiding. Says check your mail." My pulse spiked. I bolted downstairs, rain puddles soaking my sneakers, and yanked open my mailbox. A plain envelope, no return address. Inside, a note in Chloe's shaky scrawl. "Found her. She's got the key. Tacoma, noon, same spot." A phone number was scribbled below. I called it, hands trembling. A woman's voice answered, crisp but wary. "Maya?" "Yeah," I said, breathless. "Who's this?" "Ellen," she said. "Caldwell's assistant, 10 years. Chloe tracked me down. Meet me. We need to talk." Tacoma at noon it was. I drove south, sun glinting off the sound, nerves buzzing. The diner was the same. Greasy, quiet, a time capsule off I-5. Ellen waited in the back booth, mid-50s, blonde hair pulled tight, eyes sharp behind glasses. She didn't mess with phones or pleasantries, just slid a thumb drive across the table. "That's everything," she said. 10 years of his filth. Chloe said you're the one to use it. I gripped the drive, heart pounding. "Why now? Why me?" She leaned in, voice low. "I stayed too long. Money, fear, you name it. Watched him chew up girls like you and Chloe, spit 'em out. When she showed up begging I couldn't sit on it anymore. That's recordings. Him directing fraud, blackmail, all of it. Raw, unedited." "Why not the cops?" I asked, suspicious. "Too risky," she said. "He's got people, cops, feds, you name it. Press is safer. You've got the spine for it." I nodded, pocketing the drive. "Where's Chloe?" "Safe," she said. "With me. She's done running." I drove back to Seattle, Ellen's words sinking in. This wasn't just evidence, it was a nuke. Back home, I called Rita and Jamal to my place. Rita showed up first, rain-damp and grinning. "Chloe's okay?" "Yeah," I said, plugging the drive in. "And we've got the kill shot." Jamal rolled in next, laptop under his arm. "Let's see it, sis." We cracked it together. Hours of audio, crystal clear. Ethan's voice, cold and commanding. "Falsify the biotech data. Make it disappear." Another. "Dig up her past. Use it. She'll fold." Emails tied it to dates, names, Chloe's setup, Rita's lawsuits, even my Nexus Point gig. Then the kicker. A video, grainy but damning, of Ethan at a private meeting. "We track 'em early. Facial rec, data mining. Pick the best. Break 'em down." He'd been stalking me since 2018, before I even knew his name. Jamal whistled. "This dude's a psycho. How's he not in jail?" "Money," Rita said grim. "But not anymore." I called Sasha next, patching her in. "We've got it all. Press time?" "Hell yeah," she said, voice fierce. "I know a guy at the Seattle Times. Lydia Chen, badass reporter. She'll eat this up." Tuesday, we met Lydia at a coffee shop in Belltown. Industrial vibe, exposed brick, the hum of espresso machines. She was late 30s, sharp-eyed, notebook in hand. I handed over everything: Chloe's USB, Ellen's drive, Sasha's recording, Jamal's data. She listened, brows climbing, then spent 2 hours grilling us. "This is bigger than Caldwell," she said finally. "It's a system. Tech bros covering each other's asses. You ready for the fallout?" "Ready," I said, voice steady. "For Chloe, Rita, all of us." She nodded. "Goes live tomorrow. Stay low till then." Wednesday morning, it hit. The Seattle Times headline screamed, "Tech Titan exposed, fraud, blackmail, and a trail of broken lives." Lydia's piece was brutal. Audio clips online, emails leaked, Ellen's testimony front and center. By noon, it was everywhere. CNN, Twitter, tech blogs. Ethan's stock tanked 30% in hours. Former partners bailed, employees spilled more dirt. The FBI announced a probe by 3 p.m. I watched it unfold from my apartment, TV blaring, rain gone, sun pouring in. Chloe called, voice shaky but alive. "Maya, you did it." "We did it," I said, tears prickling. "You okay?" "Yeah," she said. "Ellen's got me covered. You?" "Better," I said, smiling for the first time in weeks. Thursday, the feds raided Ethan's downtown tower. Live footage showed him in cuffs, perfect hair mussed, that smirk gone. I got texts nonstop. Rita, "Bastards toast." Sasha, "Told you you're tougher." Jamal, "Proud of you, sis." Then dozens more, unknown numbers. "Thank you. You saved me." I was next. Women I'd never met, voices from Ethan's shadow. Friday, I faced the fallout. Lisa called, apologetic. "Job's yours if you want it." I said no. Done with that life. Harold and Grace drove up, Mom hugging me tight, Dad gruff but soft. "Guess you knew better, kid." Jamal grinned, healthier than I'd seen him in years. "Got a gig lined up. You're tech guy, right?" "Damn right," I said, laughing. A month later, Ethan got 15 years. Fraud, extortion, the works. I sat in the courtroom, holding Chloe's hand, Rita on my other side. No words, just quiet victory as the gavel dropped. His empire didn't collapse overnight, but it crumbled piece by piece, investigations peeling back decades of rot. Life shifted fast. Chloe, Rita, and I founded Horizon Collective, part consultancy, part lifeline for women stuck in toxic gigs. We launched in a tiny office near Lake Union, sunsets painting the water gold. First year's revenue hit 7 figures, not 10 mil, but ours, built clean. Jamal ran tech, Sasha pitched in on PR, and we grew, slow, steady, real. Last week, a package came. Ethan's business card from that penthouse day, framed, with a note from Ellen. "The road not taken. Glad you walked it." I hung it in our conference room, a reminder. Sometimes no is the strongest word you've got. One night, I stood on my balcony, Seattle sparkling below, a letter in my hand from a girl in Oregon. "Your story got me out of a bad job, thank you." Tears hit me, not sad, just full. I'd lost a lot. Comfort, quiet, but gained more. A life that's mine, a crew I'd die for, work that matters. 3 years ago, I said no to Ethan Caldwell. It was a gut call, a leap into the dark. Turned out, the dark's where you find the light, if you're brave enough to look. Success isn't the cash or the corner office. It's standing tall when the storm hits, knowing you didn't bend. Ethan offered me a trap dressed as a dream. I built my own instead, and it's stronger than he'll ever know. That's my story, proof that your gut knows what your head can't see. Loved it? Subscribe, share your own no moment below, and let's keep this journey going.